welcome to Brand X Reviews. This one I'm going to be talking about the long-forgotten TV series called Midnight Caller, which ran for 3 seasons from 1988 to 1991. Now, I say it's a long-forgotten TV series. It was last repeated in the UK back in the year 2000. It's never seen the light of day since, and it's not seen the light of day on DVD, and it's probably not gonna. I'll explain why at the end of this video. But yeah, like I say, it was last repeated in the year 2000, which is why the picture quality is like pretty bad. I did record about 10 of these episodes back then, and but it was off ITV. Also, I just want to say before it happens, it might suddenly cut to adverts in the background. If it does it, ignore it, kind of thing. Like I say, it was recorded off TV. And some of the adverts as well were pretty bad. It was things like call this number to meet women and stuff, and they were like really cheesy. That was late night TV adverts on Channel 3 in like the late 90s, early 2000s. But anyway, enough about that. You don't hear about that. You don't hear about the TV series. So you want to know what it's about anyway. In case you don't know, I'll very quickly go over. In the pilot episode, it was this guy called Jack Killian. That's the guy. This guy here. He was a policeman, and he accidentally shot and killed his partner, and that was a pilot episode. And he kind of got a bit off the rails. He started drinking and got a bit suicidal, kind of thing. And then got a job as a late night radio talk show host. And he was nicknamed the Night Hawk, and it was very well known. I think it was set in San Francisco as well, and he would talk about controversial issues, and him talking about it would usually result in him getting involved in a certain issue, the thing he was talking about. People would call in, and that would be the drama of the episode, kind of thing. So, for example, this episode here, it was about runaways. This girl was like, well, supposed to be 15 or something, and he was doing a show about children that had run away from home, and she, unbeknown to him at this point, had left home and gone to live with this pimp, and he was basically abusing her, but also kind of taking care of her, and so she was kind of conflicted because she had lots of money and decent clothes, but at the same time she was being abused. So she called into the show having listened to it, and he kind of got involved, and it all kind of kicked off. And it basically ended up in a big gun fight at the end of the episode on the streets of San Francisco. That was a typical episode, really good, really kind of controversial issues. I know they did one in particular, I haven't seen it, where apparently it was about somebody who had HIV and they were going around infecting people on purpose, like having sex with people after picking up on nights out. And that was quite a controversial episode. But this was like in the late 80s as well, early 90s, so it was quite a big deal back then. Well, it still is, but you know, that was quite fresh back then. So I think for that reason it was a very memorable series. So I think they evolved it over time as well. A few of the cast members changed. There was, early on he had a police friend from when he was in the police called Zymac. And he, I remember he was in quite a few episodes. I think he was in most of the episodes, to be honest. I know he was in the opening credits. But I know later on he got a friend. The guy out of Forrest Gump, the guy that played Bubba, the one with like the big jaw kind of thing in Forrest Gump, and he was, I know the actor's name, I just can't pronounce it. He was like Michael T. Williamson or something, quite well known anyway. But he was in it as a cop. Also, his boss was a female called Devon. That was a character's name. And I think she left the series halfway through because I don't know if she got pregnant in real life. I know in the show she became pregnant. But she was later replaced by, I don't remember the actress's name, but I know she was in Beverly Hills Cop. She was the one that played Jenny Summers in Beverly Hills Cop. So she was kind of that kind of character. But his boss, I don't remember the later one, but the one Devon, the one that was called Devon, she was a very kind of liberal female. She owned the radio station. She kind of told Jack Killian what to talk about, but she was very open-minded, and she was like yin to his yang kind of thing. He was kind of a dark character. She was a very sort of light, person. So those are characters. There's also Dennis Dunn. He was a Chinese guy out of, I think most well known for being in Big Trouble in Little China. I think he was in a couple of John Carpenter films, but he was in the show as well in I think most of the episodes, if not all of them. I think he was in it from start to finish. Other cast members, there were a few guests, and I know Peter Boyle, the actor, he played Jack Killian's father in an episode called Fathers and Sins. I think you can view that episode on YouTube, or you used to be able to. They might have taken bits of it down. It was in parts. I do own that one on tape as well anyway.
Okay, let's go to San Francisco. You're on the air. Yeah, Jack, this is JJ.
Talk to me, JJ.
Where are you from originally?
Chicago, JJ. I moved to the Bay Area when I was about 9 years old.
Any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, one each. What, are you writing my unauthorized biography?
No, but it's a thought. Listen, I got just one more question for you, Jack, okay?
Okay.
What's your mother's name?
Ann? Where are we going with this, JJ?
Well, here's the deal, Jack. I think I may be your father.
That was a good episode where Jack Killian was doing a radio show and he gets a call from his long-lost father. I think his father had left him as a kid. And he basically says, "Oh, I'm your dad, by the way." And he meets him, and it turns out the reason his dad contacted him was because he's kind of a con artist and a gambler, and he wanted money off him because there was a big gambling tournament coming up. And they wanted to borrow money off him. And I think he told him they were going to buy a yacht or something, and they were going to lose loads of money if they couldn't pay for it in time. And so he gave him the money, but it turned out it was a lie. It was to play this gambling thing. He did win the game, and then obviously gave him his money back. But that was it was a good episode anyway. It wasn't quite as dark and depressing as some of the other episodes. I say depressing, it was a good show. But yeah, that was the show itself. One other thing I would say about the show was the theme was awesome, that TV theme. Who did the Terminator 1 and 2 scores, and there is an extended version of it. I think you can download. You can probably get it off iTunes and Amazon and stuff. It was just Midnight Caller theme, but it's an extended. It's by a guy called Rick Braun or Rick Brown. It's spelled B-R-A-U-N. It's Rick R-I-C-K. If you look that up, it's definitely worth downloading. It's really cool because it's a good theme, but it's only like 45 seconds or whatever. This is an extended version, and it does justice to the original. So something I'd throw out there. What else can I say about the TV series? As I say, it was very memorable. My father, this is a typical example. I was talking to my father about this the other day, and I was doing a bit of research for this before I did the video, and I was talking to him about it, and he remembers it. He's not got a very good memory for things. He can watch something and forget and deny that he's even seen it. I mean, he watched Batman Begins a few years ago, and he loved it. He watched it twice in a week, and he was telling me about how he thought it was really cool, and how they explained his suit and everything like that. He denies he's seen that now, he's forgotten. I've showed him the trailer, I said, "Look, do you remember you watched it? You said you liked it." And he's like, "Nope, never seen it." But he remembers this, he remembers Midnight Caller, he remembers that there was a guy in it called Jack Killian, also known as the Night Hawk. He remembers all that stuff, so it was a very memorable series. If he can remember it, you know it's memorable. Granted, it was a TV series that he watched for 3 years, there's probably more chance of remembering it than a film. But anyway, kind of going off on one there. So yeah, now I just pretty much got to kind of end this because I could probably rant about this quite a bit. Ownership of this TV series, if you wanted to get hold of it, the rights to this, well, it was produced by a company called Lorimar, and they kind of folded up around about the time the series was on, actually, from what I know, early 90s, I think, and they were bought, or they now own, they kind of folded up into Warner Brothers, and so presumably Warner Brothers own the rights to this. But the issue with releasing this on DVD, or even repeating it on TV, is, as far as I'm aware, the TV show was about a radio station, and obviously on radio stations they play music. Now, in this show you wouldn't just hear music for like a few seconds in the background while somebody's talking. They would play music quite prominently in this, and they would play like pretty much the best part of a whole song over like a montage, and they did it in a lot of episodes as well. I mean, I haven't seen every episode, but the ones I've seen, yeah, that's part of it. They would have like an entire song, like say by Rod Stewart or whoever, who was quite big at the time. And it wasn't as big of a deal back then in the late 80s, early 90s, but the whole music industry thing has changed since then. You've got, like, obviously internet piracy, you've got iTunes, all that kind of stuff. And so nowadays, if they were to do that, even though they made the show in the 80s, if they were to release this, there would be a potential liability there for all the copyright from music. So they, from what I gather, they would have to pay out a lot of money to the record companies for each song that they used by releasing this, because they're basically profiting from selling this TV series that features copyright music in it. So that's against fair use. There's no fair use allowances for that. So they would have to pay out, and I imagine that the liabilities could even outweigh the amount of money that they would make in DVD sales or repeating it on TV. So it's just probably not going to happen, which is really sad. I hope they can just find a way of doing it, or maybe if something happens, or if maybe the cost of paying out these record companies isn't as great. If there's enough interest for this, maybe there's enough people to actually buy the DVD that would make it profit worthy, and they would do it. I don't know. I know there's talk about like putting online campaigns together and stuff, but it's kind of a cult show now, but it's not a big cult show. It's not like the X-Files was like in the early 90s where it was like massive. It's not like Star Trek was where like they wanted a third series and they just did a letter writing campaign and that was big enough to get a third series. It's not quite like it's quite long forgotten about the series, but people that do remember it love it. But unfortunately, there's not enough people out there that would buy the series, as far as I'm aware. I hope I'm wrong there. I really do hope I'm wrong. But they haven't released it, so it's 2014 now, and it's been a long time. As I say, I owned these back in 2000 when I recorded them on tape. So that's like I say, why the picture quality is not all that great. So. The closest I came to actually owning these was back in, I think it was 2002. There was a Canadian website, and they were kind enough to offer to copy me a load of episodes on tape, and I paid them a bit of money. It wasn't a lot. It was literally just enough for the tapes and the postage. I mean, they didn't swindle me or anything like that. They didn't make any profit out of me, but unfortunately what came back was unwatchable, not because it was from another country and the obviously region differences, because I had a machine that should play it, but the picture was like just bouncing everywhere and the sound quality was bad. I got back to them and he said, yeah, that is the quality, but I just thought you'd be happy with that. It was unwatchable. You would have had a seizure watching it. I don't mind them in a picture like that where it's kind of grainy, but point is that's the closest I've come to owning all the series. Now, there may be torrents out there, stuff like that. I don't want to advocate, illegal downloads and stuff like that, but I am genuinely unaware of it if there is anything like that, and even if I was, I couldn't say, because obviously copyright, I'd probably get in trouble. But, what else is there really to say about getting hold of this? I don't really see any other way. Like I say, the same problem with issuing on DVD probably applies to repeating it, reruns of it. If it's been rerun anywhere else, please post in the comments. I'd be interested to know. It's certainly not been repeated in the UK as far as I'm aware. But again, just post comments either at brandxreviews.com or on the YouTube page. Because again, I think this is something that it's a real shame that we're not going to get hold of the whole series, because it was quite cheesy at times. Don't get me wrong; it had its kind of really kind of corny bits in it, but it was very entertaining, and there's a nostalgia factor there as well. I remember, like say, my parents watched this when I was a kid. It was like late 80s, early 90s, so I was like 7, 8, 9. No, maybe not that young. Yeah, maybe like 9 or 10, and. I remember hearing the music for it, and it just kind of takes me back to my childhood, because this was on late at night, so if I saw any of this, it meant I was up late at night, and that's cool, when you're a kid, when you're up late, so for that reason, that's another reason I like it anyway. But I think that's pretty much all I can say. I kind of ranted on a bit, but like I said, if you know anything about this, or want to add anything to it, anything that I've said, or if you think I'm maybe slightly exaggerated about the whole music piracy issue, let me know, because I'd be interested to know. But I've done a bit of research online, and as far as I know, that is the hold-up, and it does make sense, it's logical. So anyway, I'll cut it short there anyway. So if you want to go to the website, it's brandxreviews.com. There's plenty of other reviews and stuff like that, and we will be, of course, if there's any news on this, we will let you know on the website as well. So for now, thank you very much for watching, and like Jack Killino, he said when he finished his radio show, he would say this, he would say, This is Jack Killian on whatever radio station it was, KJCM 98.3 on your FM dial, so I can't remember. But then he would say, good night America, wherever you